Welcome back. So you made the mistake of continuing to hear me read the next chapter in this little fan fiction. Let us start. For viewers who did not watch the last video on this stupid little channel, this is a read of Transported, a Wings of Fire story. It's a fan fiction. This one will go over the second chapter. The chapter name, What is this place? Oh my god, I'm a dragon. How did this happen? This makes no sense. What the hell is going on? Daniel had about 30 questions running through his mind per second, and all of them didn't have a realistic answer. Okay, let's just figure this out and calm down, he thought to himself. It worked to a point, but one half of his brain was still running in a panic. All right, so the last thing I remember was being thrown towards a book. Daniel thought out loud. What the hell was that anyway? 1 second, I'm in my room in the middle of the night, and next, I'm stuck in the center of a boiling desert, turned into a dragon, and have no apparent way back home. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that I'm completely screwed, no questions about it. Or no question about it. He let out a sigh. Well, might as well get a move on. Nothing's going to happen from just standing here, he thought. But which way? It all looks the same. Daniel looked around. Let's just take a gamble, I guess. Daniel soon began his trip across the desert dunes. He had no idea where he was going, but it was better than not going anywhere at all. Maybe I can find someone else to tell me where I am, he thought, with the little hope that there was someone or something else out there, or out here, in the burning wasteland. Learning to walk on all four limbs was a bit difficult, to say the least. Daniel struggled to keep his balance on his front legs while walking, but he got the hang of it eventually. He was still working on the running and flying bit, but at least he was able to travel somehow. Flying wasn't an option, as it was a lot harder than it seemed, as Daniel just wasn't able to beat his wings together and ultimately kept falling over. Being unable to fly and only traveling on foot was taking its toll on him, as it wasn't long before he began to dehydrate. Need water, he thought desperately. He could feel his mind beginning to black out. His vision was wobbly, but he thought he saw someone in the distance. It looked like another dragon. However, instead of being red and orange, like Daniel's, he was pale and yellow and had a scorpion-like barbed tail. Ha! Kind of looks like a sandwing. And that's the last thing he said before his body gave up and he collapsed on the desert ground. Wham! The world went dark, with nothing to be seen except his scales and a faint light that surrounded him. Hello? Daniel called out to the darkness, or called out to the darkness. No response. Hello? Can anyone hear me? This time, he called out louder. Still no response. He was all alone, and he started to walk around in what seemed to be an endless space, constantly calling out for anyone, but nobody came. No one was there to save him from this nightmare. Suddenly, the room started to fill with water. As he tried to swim, he realized that his left ankle was shackled to the floor. A dark black tentacle wrapped around it, rooting him to the floor. There was nothing he could do. Pulling and tugging on the supernatural restraints did nothing to free him. Scratching them with his newly found claws did nothing, as they seemed to pass right through the dark matter. The water was up to his chest now, slowly but surely making its way up to his neck. It seemed like this was the end. Ha! Dying by drowning. What a way to go. Daniel had given up hope that the water would surpass his airways, and he tried to stay calm, hoping by some miracle he could survive. However, he heard a voice in the distance. A soft female voice could be heard. When darkness falls, one will rise, one fast enough to rule the skies. A golden glow shines through the lines. To a certain dragon trapped inside, under the surface of yellow and white, lies a lock of rain and night. For wonder, he must find its key to allow himself to be set free. But as time begins to turn, Pyrea will slowly start to burn. However, only when the truth is revealed, the curse shall finally break its seal. Was that a prophecy? Daniel thought. However, he was snapped back to reality. Snap back to reality as he gasped before waking up in a bed. His scales were drenched with water up to his neck, which gave him an uneasy feeling that the dream wasn't just a nightmare, and that part of it was real. Hey, you're awake! A voice chirped from behind him. It's not every time you see a skywing walking out in the desert. What are you doing there anyway? Daniel turned around to see a tall, pale dragon with black and yellow scales, as well as a curled-up scorpion-barbed tail. I don't believe it! It's an actual sandwing! Daniel thought. It was depicted exactly like in the Wings of Fire books. Then the realization hit. Wait, if this is the Sandwing, and he just called me a Skywing, are those both those are both tribes from the books? Does that mean I'm in the land of Pyrea? Hello. Are you all right, Skywing? The Sandwing said. His thoughts were interrupted, and it took a moment for Daniel to realize that he had been blankly staring at the dragon for God knows how long now. Oh, yeah, sorry. Spaced out for a moment there, Daniel replied, embarrassed. Don't worry about it. Here, have something to drink. You're probably thirsty, the Sandwing said as he offered him a chromatic cup filled with water. If it were under any other circumstances, he would have gulped down the whole cup in one go. But after his nightmare, trance, vision, he had lost his thirst. However, he didn't want to be seen as a bad guest, especially to someone who probably just saved his life from dehydration. So he took the cup from the Sandwing's claws and drank the liquid slowly. So, tell me, what are you doing out in the desert all by yourself? The dragon asked with a tone of confusion in his words. Well, I sort of just woke up here and started walking about to find any source of life. I don't remember how I got there. That bit was a half lie, as he had a faint memory of being thrown around his room back on Earth before waking up in the desert. But the Sandwing would never believe him, so he just left that little detail out. I see. But why aren't you flying? It would have been easier to traverse the desert while flying. Plus, you're a Skywing, the fastest flyer out of all the tribes. It puzzled me to see you walking on the ground. Daniel didn't know how to respond to that. On one hand, if he told him he didn't know how to fly, he would have probably laughed, or he would probably laugh or think something fishy was going on. But on the other hand, if Daniel did tell him, he might help him learn to fly. Daniel thought for a moment, then replied, I don't know how to. The dragon stared back at him in shock. A Skywing who doesn't know how to fly? Excuse me, what? I'm being honest here. Don't rub it in, all right? Daniel said, hoping to get off the topic. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. It's still a bit shocking and ironic, though, he said with a tone of regret in his voice. Oh, I just remembered. I never introduced myself. The name's Baron. Pleased to meet you. And you are... Baron smiled as Daniel noticed he was waiting for him to introduce himself. Crap, I don't have a Skywing name. I can't give him my human name, or you'll think I'm nuts for sure. Come on, Daniel, think of the most Skywing name possible. Just then, the name hit him like a rocket. It was an original name that he hadn't seen anywhere else in the books, so it should be fine. Daniel stood up toward the dragon and said, Pleased to meet you, Baron. My name's Hurricane. Nice name. Gives off a fierce vibe to it. Baron chuckled. Hey, Baron, Daniel asked. Do you by chance have a map of the world I could see? I want to figure out where I am exactly. Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Daniel walked towards the doorway of the room and beckoned Daniel to follow. It was only now that Daniel realized how nice a place the tiny house was. There were golden brown rectangular lamps that were used as light sources, a nice fur carpet, as well as a soft bed. Stained glass windows gave off a colorful glow to the area. Beside one of the windows, Daniel noticed 2 potted cacti, which, if he remembered correctly, were used to cure Sandwing venom. Multiple colorful artworks could be seen on the walls, as well as a painting of what looked like a sandwing and an icewing. Underneath the painting, it was titled Clawmates. The sandwing had a bright smile and had a wing around the cold dragon. The icewing had more of a scowl on his face. He was, however, still staring back at him through the painting. The sides of the painting seemed ripped, as if they'd been torn a part of the full picture off. That seems familiar. I wonder why, though. Eventually, Daniel entered a small room with many gridded sheets of paper. Welcome to my mapping room. I like to draw maps of interesting things I find around the land, but ignore that. This is what you're looking for, right? Baron pointed to a large map on the wall that Daniel hadn't seen yet, but upon laying eyes on it, he immediately recognized it. Shaped like a dragon, with an icy head and a sandy body, it had confirmed Daniel's suspicions. He had indeed been transported into the fictional land of Pyrea. And that is the end of this chapter, except for the author's note at the very bottom. Hey people, hope you enjoyed this longer chapter. I'm going to try to get a chapter out every 1 to 2 days, so you guys don't have to wait long to keep reading. If you liked it, feel free to comment, as it really means the world to me that someone is reading this. Be safe, have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow, or the day after, if it all goes to plan. Smiley face. So, Daniel meets Baron, and nearly fucking dies in the desert before the whole adventure starts. But yeah, see you next time.